we did an episode down in Arizona where this guy claimed he like 20-something gray aliens with a samurai sword. He told us one night he like woke up and this was happening, and he ran outside and he grabbed his AK-47 and there was a UFO, and she was raising up to the UFO, and he just started shooting at the UFO and it dropped her. Showed us the samurai sword, which was pretty wild, like just to see. Yeah. But he said they would appear in the room, and he would just like, once he chops them, they kind of just like dissolve and go away.
Oh my gosh. Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, he's back. We don't have on guests twice often, but this guy had some crazy stories last time, so we brought him back. Jay Wasley, how's it going?
Doing good. I feel honored to be back for a second time.
Absolutely, man. And you just came off filming the new show, right?
Yeah, we're still filming pretty much every other week. Like,
nice.
So we're basically 5 days home, 10 days home, 5 days out on the road. So,
okay.
But nonstop, we don't take breaks.
Wow. And now you're going to houses, right?
Yeah, we did that for a while. We took a break from the regular show for a little bit to do our Ghost Adventures house calls, where we travel around and just go to individual homes and kind of help them with their paranormal problems.
Yeah.
So we did a chunk of that season, and now we're back on doing the regular show, and then I think we'll pick up more towards the end of the year and kind of finish off that season for house calls.
Nice. Were there any memorable house calls?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's crazy because, like, one, you never know what you're going to get. You're going into these people's homes, and, like, all we know is that they reached out to us. They're like, hey, this stuff's going on. So we're always kind of, there's been a few this time that were very skeptical. They were like, all right, is there anything going on here? Or are you just wanting us to come to your house to have, like,
to get on TV.
Right, to be on TV, or just be like, oh, the Ghost Adventure guys came here, kind of thing. But the thing is, even on those cases where we're like, after like most of our interviews and our research, we're like, all right, we're not falling for it. And then we investigate and we get evidence.
Wow.
So it's still like, all right, there's something here. Maybe the family's kind of pushing things, but like we called evidence, so we can't say it's not haunted,
When you say evidence, what does that look like?
Like we capture either like EVPs, which is electric voice phenomena, which is when you record and it's completely silent, and then you play back and you hear answers to your questions, or you hear someone talking, and we film everything, so you can see that nobody's been talking, but you hear voices, that's an EVP.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of those. We catch things, like weird sounds, things, look like they're moving. Orbs is a big one. Mm-hmm. And we do a lot to debunk dust. Like dust is one of the big orbs. Like people all the time are showing me photos, like, look at this ghost, look at this ghost. I'm like, it's probably a dust orb, that one. So we take a lot of time to kind of debunk and go through it. And the way we use our cameras, we set up our cameras in a certain way so that it minimizes any kind of dust going in front of the lens. And
interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think these ghosts can hear us, but it's harder for us to hear them?
I don't know. And sometimes I wonder if they even do hear us completely. Yeah. I think they can at times, and that's when they like respond directly to our questions. My theory, I like to think, is that they look at us as we're ghosts.
Oh.
They could be living in their world as they see it, and then we're a ghost. We're just a voice, and they're like, kind of, what is that? And kind of interact, very loosely back with us.
Dude, that's trippy. So the ghosts think we're ghosts.
Right? That's just a theory, Who knows officially what it could be, but that's kind of like my theory, at least, that I feel that, like, who knows? They could just be living their day in their consciousness, and then we come along and they're like, just hear a voice, and they're like, what was that? And, kind of restart responding a little bit.
Absolutely. That's crazy. Do you guys see the show kind of branching off into alien investigations or other cryptids?
Not necessarily like as a separate show. I think we cover it a lot in our shows. Mm-hmm. We did an episode down in Arizona where this guy claimed he like 20-something gray aliens with a samurai sword.
What?
Yeah, it was wild. It was this guy's ranch, and he lived there, and he said pretty much every night the aliens would come and try to abduct his wife. And she would lift up off the bed and just start like hovering through the house and go outside.
No way.
He told us one night he like woke up and this was happening, and he ran outside and he grabbed his AK-47 and there was a UFO, and she was raising up to the UFO, and he just started shooting at the UFO and it dropped her. He told us that. He showed us the samurai sword, which was pretty wild, like just to see.
Yeah.
But he said they would appear in the room, and he would just like, once he chops them, they kind of just like dissolve and go away.
Oh my gosh, he must have lived in the middle of nowhere.
Right? Yeah, it was kind of just in the middle of nowhere, Arizona.
Wow. So did you find any evidence of anything?
Yeah.
Like that?
So we did that. And obviously, you hear these stories, and it's like I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, so I'm a believer. But still, you hear something like that, and you're like, you 20-something gray aliens with a samurai sword. Come on, man. But we were there and we got evidence, and towards the end of the night, I did an infrasound experiment. So I have a big theory about energy and vibrations, and that we're all literally made up of vibrations. When you go down to like, molecular atomic levels, it's just things vibrating. And every vibration is a sound and it has a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, I did an infrasound, which is basically a sound frequency that you can't hear. It's just outside of our human range. And I wanted to create a resonance theory, which resonance theory is basically like, you ever see like the stereotypical opera singer that hits the high note and the glass breaks?
Yeah.
That happens because the note the opera singer is hitting is the same frequency that the glass is actually vibrating at. So it shakes itself apart and it smashes the glass.
Wow.
So my theory was, if I introduce infrasound and try different frequencies, then I could possibly irritate and shake open a portal or something like that. And there was all these claims that there was an alien portal because there was like so many sightings.
Right.
So in the living room, I blasted infrasound, and I started seeing like weird shadows like walking around because it's pitch black, so I can just kind of see some ambience, and there were straight up figures walking around after I did the infrasound.
Holy crap.
Which was wild.
So you figured out how to open a portal.
Yeah, I
That's
did it there,
crazy.
and I did it at the Bell Witch Cave in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's like this old cave that's one of the oldest hauntings in America. Like one of the presidents went out there and claimed that it was haunted and all this stuff. And so we went in there, and that was the first time I ever did the infrasound experiment. And I was just trying different frequencies, and all of a sudden I hit a certain frequency, and we're all outside the cave. We have cameras in there, microphones. And we start hearing like rocks getting thrown around, and we start looking at the video, and you see little lights like shooting around and something like that, and like literally rocks were lifting off the ground and flying around because of the infrasound.
Whoa.
And then we were like, all right, let's all go in there, and we all went in there, and it felt like we were in another dimension. Like we were all just like, what is going on?
That's
like it
crazy.
felt like it felt like we were on or something. Like it was so surreal and wild, and it definitely opened up something.
Yeah, that's nuts. Because when I went to Sedona, they talk a lot about these vortexes or portals, but when you think of a portal, you think of something you could visually see.
Right.
But these are kind of like not.
Yeah,
as
they're
visual,
not there.
right?
I mean, there are places that people like. There's stories like everyone kept. There's always stories like, oh, there's a portal here. There's always something. So I think maybe there is something to do with these hauntings that at these certain locations, why certain locations are more active than others, is because either something opened up at some point in time through like rituals or people messing around, or like a horrific event, or some kind of not even horrific, but just some kind of powerful event, even like a intense moment of love could probably create enough energy to open up this portal. And then the problem is, who knows what's going to come through.
That's the scary part, right? We still don't know what black holes are.
Exactly. Like these things with Ouija boards, like you open up and you think, oh, like I'm just talking to a relative or this or that, but like how do we really know that?
Yeah.
And there's too many stories where like they'll claim to be something, it gets your guard down, you feel comfortable, and you're like, oh, this is great, I feel happy, great, and then they come out, and then it gets dark. And
yeah, I still remember your iconic Ouija board story. What do you think it is about the board that has that power to open up portals?
I don't think it's anything to do with the board. I think it's just the intention of what you're doing. It's a very focused intention. Like, because back in the day, before they started making like mass producing, there were stories I read about like witches and women way back in the day would actually do things in flour. Like they would write out letters in flour and use a glass, and so there's always been different ways of divination or communication.
Right.
So this is just another way to do it.
Wow. Has there been any compelling audio or video you've captured that really opened your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, there's been enough. Like I've seen Goldfield Hotel out in Goldfield, Nevada. It's out in the middle of the desert, kind of by Area 51. And we have on videotape a rock lifting off the ground, go flying by itself.
Jeez.
This is the same building that in the original documentary they called a brick lifting off the ground and go flying by itself. And it was funny because I was actually out near there. You can't stay in Goldfield. It's like pretty much a ghost town. Like probably like 30 people live there. But just a little farther north, there's a town called Tonopah, which is like its own weird, creepy ghost town in a way. But it's actually like it has hotels. There's life there. And I was just out there, not even with the show. Like we were just out there. my girlfriend and I just decided to take a trip because the stars are amazing. If you ever want to go, like, just see amazing stars, it's about 3 hours out of Vegas.
That's cool.
And there's no light pollution, so you see the whole Milky Way galaxy.
Wow,
it's amazing.
That's beautiful.
So my girlfriend and I were just like, oh, let's just go out there. We'll go spend the night. We'll get a room at the Mizpah Hotel, which is like this famous old haunted hotel in Tonopah, and we're just gonna do astral photography and just chill and hang out under the stars. She starts taking photos, and she randomly is like, oh my God, like starts out. She's like, no, I don't like this. I'm going to delete that. I'm like, no, don't delete it. Let me see. What is it? And she shows me this picture, and I'm just laying on the ground, and you see my dog with me, and there's a series of photos. There's nothing there. And then all of a sudden above me, this like humanoid, like it's been online now, and everyone says different things, but I see a straight up alien, like humanoid, really? Like it looks like it. And there's some motion to it. Like people are like, oh, there's more of them. I think it's the motion. Like it's coming down to me, but it's in like this weird jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Like I could show you if you want. Like
yeah,
I can even send it to you so you could put it on when it's all done. But it was wild.
And
like,
you didn't see it in the moment? You only saw it
in the moment.
Photo?
So you can see here, like that's me on the ground there. And that's my dog, right?
Yeah.
So she took a photo, and then that appeared above me. But then you could zoom in and you could see.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There's no way that's a coincidence.
No. Like,
and this can't be edited, right?
No, this is straight. Like, I even took I don't know if I have it on here, but I had her screenshot her camera roll in the moment, too, so that you can actually see that it was straight from the camera roll. Yeah.
What the hell? That's the most clear photo I've seen of something.
Yeah, it still blows my mind. And in the moment, I wasn't scary. It wasn't like I felt great, honestly, like in a weird way, not to be all like hippie, but I felt like one with the universe in a way. Like it was very peaceful, very relaxed.
So it must have been a good soul or something.
Yeah. Where just somehow I opened up, like, to me, it looks like an alien. People online have been like, it's an angel, it's this, it's that, all kinds of things. But, like, to me, I feel like it's some kind of extraterrestrial being.
Yeah. What's your view on aliens? Because there's a lot of hype around it right now. It's hard to believe certain things. Like, what do you think about it?
I mean, I think the stuff with the government saying now, like, I think it's just like they're kind of teasing.
Right.
Like they're, everyone's like, they've admitted it. They said there's like they haven't said there's aliens. They said that there's UFOs, which doesn't mean it's alien. It's just an unidentified flying object, which could be a Russian thing. It could be a Chinese thing. It could be even our own thing that's just like black ops. Like, they're not officially saying it's an alien. And then the one line they said in those hearings that, what was it? They found like non-human biologic.
I saw that,
or something. I'm stumbling on the word, but it was something like they found non-human, probably DNA or something.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, they admitted they're aliens. It's like, but that could also be, there could have been a monkey on the ship. There could have been a dog on the ship. It could have been anything that's not human. It doesn't necessarily mean alien. As much as I would love for them just to come out and say it, but I think with all that stuff, they haven't said it. They haven't truly admitted it. They kind of just teased it a little bit enough to get people going.
Right. So you're still a little skeptical of their existence?
Not their existence. I mean, I believe they exist.
Right.
I mean, just you look at the massive, how big space is, and if it's infinitely growing, and like it's so. I think it's so little-minded to say that we're the only thing in the entire known universe.
You're not a flat earther.
No. Like I'm totally open to it.
Yeah.
I guess if I'm like debating myself, I'll think, why haven't we seen them? Like if they are visiting us regularly, why are they hiding? Why is it so secret? Like, why don't they just do it? Like, so that part's weird. Like, I think a lot of it is like government stuff, government tech, things like that we're seeing. But I do think they're out there. Like, I've experienced with that photo. I've had other experiences before too, where like I've seen a gray alien standing above me when I woke up one time. And
what?
Yeah.
Where was that?
It was in like, I forget that it was some town, but it was like this old house, and it had like it used to be used as a prison for like during the wartime, and there were still cells. So I spent the entire night in the cell by myself, locked in there, and I ended up falling asleep, and I woke up to a gray alien.
It was in your face?
It was kind of like standing at my feet.
What was your reaction?
I just kind of jumped and freaked out, and then it wasn't there anymore. And I was like,
it
all right,
disappeared?
and it was gone.
So they could probably teleport.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if there are aliens that exist, their technology is so far advanced than ours that, it makes sense that we could see them and then they're gone, things like that. I don't think like they're just going to walk in this door and be like, hey, guys, how you doing?
They say they're attracted to highly spiritual people. So would you consider yourself pretty spiritual?
I think so. And I think that helps. I think, I believe in like a universal consciousness that like in some way, like we're all connected through means that aren't just in this world, in this reality. Like there's something else beyond this that kind of connects us all. So it makes sense that it would connect us to other beings and from other dimensions or other planets or other time periods, things like that. I think I talked about in the last one about that, I don't always necessarily think they're aliens from another planet. They could be us from the future.
Yeah, that
was one of that. So like things like that, but then there could be aliens from other planets. There could be aliens from other dimensions. I even think sometimes like the ghosts we encounter could even be aliens.
Yeah. So what about past lives reincarnation? What's sort of your theory on that?
I believe it, because there's the theory that like no energy, basically all energy is created and it never goes away. So it's here. So like our consciousness has to do something. It's not, I think our physical body dies, it decays, but then our energy, our spirit, whatever you want to call it, I think that can move on.
Right.
An interesting thing that I was reading into was in Buddhism, they believe like 49 days after your death is when you're reincarnated. So there's a weird correlation with 49 days after conception is the first time your brain releases DMT.
Whoa, when you're born?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which, I don't know if you're familiar with DMT, is the strongest hallucinogen. So it's weird that, it was a weird coincidence. And then there's a whole theory behind that. There's actually a great documentary called The Spirit Molecule that talks about how DMT could be the reason for our consciousness. That like that spark, that hallucinogenic spark is kind of what creates our world. And, we're really looking around like this is just matter and, energy waves, things just flying around through chaos. But like because of our consciousness under that state can kind of like bring it all together and make it make sense.
Wow. So we're all hallucinating basically.
In a sense, in that theory.
The reason I haven't done DMT is because when you die, it gets released.
Right.
And I just feel like that's the natural way of doing it.
Right. And then that explains too. And I'm not trying to take away from anyone's personal experience, but like near life death experiences, people's like seeing the light and like floating above their body.
Right.
Like if you're going to die, your body's going to release some DMT and you are hallucinating.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that, not that I'm saying it's not real or it's not happening, but I think that sparks that reaction.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys. Exactly.
And then you could be like hallucinating that you're floating above your body, or maybe that's what it is. Maybe, I think like modern world looks at it as like, oh, you're just hallucinating, but maybe there is your consciousness is actually leaving your body and floating above, and you can experience that.
Yeah. Have you experienced any out of body stuff yet?
Not so much out of body. I've had like sleep paralysis stuff, which was also ties into like another alien common thing, where this was a long time ago. I was still a kid, well, not kid. I guess I was a teenager, and I was staying at my girlfriend's house, and we both woke up in the middle of the night, and I remember us looking at each other, and we're like, we can't move, like both of us, which was weird because it's never happened before.
Yeah. And
it was dark room, and all of a sudden the room just started getting brighter, and we can kind of look over, and we could see the door, and there was just this bright light coming from under the door of the bedroom, which we were just both like in just terrified feeling.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I had that experience, and then we just kind of passed back out. And the next morning we're like, what was that?
I had it as a teenager too, but I haven't had it since. Luckily, it was scary, man. Yeah, I don't know how to explain what happened.
Yeah, it's hard to explain really, because one, you're like in this weird in between sleep and awake state, so like, there's room for, is it a dream, is it like a weird crossover kind of thing? But what got me was that there was two of us. It wasn't just me by myself that had this experience. There was two people there that both had the exact same experience at the same time.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That is super weird. What's your take on the dream world? I have a theory where it's kind of linked to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
But what do you think about it?
I think there's different things. I think sometimes it is just random firings of memories and things, and kind of almost like a remix of like your thoughts and memories, things like that. But I do think it could be tapping into that collective unconsciousness of like the universe. So like I feel like you get messages through dreams, you can get premonitions through dreams, you can get like, answers to, if you're trying to figure out things, stuff like that, and you can look at your dreams and kind of figure out, what the best way to go about doing something might be.
I agree, man. Yeah, I keep a dream journal, and there's definitely some meanings and some messages if you really analyze your dreams.
Yeah, I always tell people, I was like, don't live by it.
Yeah, don't live by it. But
like I've known people, and like I don't want to, like each to their own. I don't like knocking anybody, but like I've known people that are like every day they wake up and they're like, oh my god, like it's like just still do your regular life. Like don't let the dreams totally like, I'm gonna go quit my job now because I had a dream where I did it. It's like, nah, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, people definitely take everything in general too far.
Definitely,
You
yeah.
could definitely go balls deep. But what are you working on filming now?
We're still a lot. I mean, it's Halloween season, so it's our time to shine. We just did a 2-hour special on this place called Devil Island out in the San Francisco Bay near Alcatraz, this island. So that was a 2-hour special we just had come out. We have 5 new episodes of Ghost Adventures coming out. We have a whole new season of Screaming Room, which is basically the 4 of us from the show. We sit down in a movie theater and we watch old episodes.
Oh, yeah?
So we just talk about it. It's kind of like if you ever seen Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but with us. But like we'll give like, follow-ups and insight information behind the scenes, kind of like, elaborating on that episode and what happened. And it's like we're watching the episode with the fans.
Oh, that's cool.
So we do that. We have another show that we do, a second season of our show, Haunted Museum, which is it's a show about objects in the Haunted Museum. So every episode we take an object and basically tell the backstory of that object and tell it like cinematically. So it's not like it's not documentary. It's not like reality. Like it's more of a scripted, storytelling.
Yeah.
So that comes out at the end of October. And
dude, that museum's fun. I went on mushrooms.
Oh, really?
It was crazy.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it was like 5 of us. We all went on mushrooms.
Yeah,
the girls were out.
I bet.
Yeah.
Was there any particular spot you remember that?
Dude, the van.
Oh,
that room felt heavy.
Yep, that one gets a lot of people.
Yeah, dude.
We have like so much security footage of like people passing out in there and like having weird experiences. And,
I mean, like how many people died in that van? Like 200?
At least, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so that leftover energy, right?
Yeah.
And it never got cleansed out.
No, yeah, it's just I remember literally we knocked down that wall. And I remember pushing that van, like we all pushed it across the grass and like had to knock the wall down, push it into that room, and then they sealed the wall back up.
I was wondering how it got in there, actually. That's funny.
Yeah, I remember that day. That was wild. We're like, we're going to do what? And like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, dude, that museum. Which room gets you the most there?
I mean, they all do in different ways. Like the Demon House room gets me just because I was at the Demon House. So like there's like a weird connection I have with that. Like that was just one of the evilest, darkest places. So that room kind of gets me. The G Cauldron, which is actually, there's an episode on that in the new season of Haunted Museum.
Was that the one at the end?
I think it's actually next to the Kevorkian van. It's like a big, it's a big pot basically.
Oh.
And the serial Ed Gein, like he influenced Silence of the Lambs. He influenced Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He would basically people and like put their skin on and make skin suits. And
damn, so someone actually did that?
Yeah.
I thought that was just a movie.
No, it was this guy in Wisconsin that really did it. His name was Ed Gein.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and like he kind of like inspired all those stories and
wow.
Crazy stuff. And then they went to his house and he just had like chairs made of human flesh, things like that.
Gosh. Yeah. And you have some of that in the museum?
So he's got it's a cauldron and that he would like cook body parts in, like we don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was like either using it to like catch blood to like when he was draining it, or he would like cook body parts to be able to skin it, things like that.
Dude, that's crazy.
So that one was crazy. And we were filming an episode in there. And we were in there and, I was just filming. I was behind the camera at this time. And we had a witch from England, this Lady Snake, who unfortunately has passed away now. But she like just looks at me and she's like, oh, I want to do a ritual in here with this cauldron. And she just looks at me and she's like, you have to do this with me.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? And I was like, why is that? Which is weird because this story gets really weird. So... So the night before, and then I started thinking, I was like, whoa, I actually had a dream the night before that like something was ripping the skin off my back. Like just some kind of like creature was like holding me down and just ripping my back skin off.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what this guy did. And like, I'm in here and it's weird that she picked me to do that. And on a weird connection, I just happened to be in Wisconsin the week before. Like we were doing that and that's where that serial lived, was in Wisconsin.
Right.
So it was just like a weird correlation.
Wow.
So then she's like, all right, you got to do it with me. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we go through it. She starts setting up, doing this ritual. I drip my blood in the cauldron, all this kind of stuff. And with any kind of ritual, like my feeling is like it's an intention. Whatever your intention is what you're going for and what's going to happen. I don't know what she was planning, but like my intention was to basically banish these 3 energies that were kind of holding me down at that time. There was like, one was the Demon House. Like we just came off from filming that. So like I was still kind of recovering with that. There was the energy of Goatman's Bridge where my ex-wife got affected.
Right.
And then there was the energy from the Ouija board when I had that experience. So like, I felt like those were the three energies that were still kind of lingering around me. So my goal was to banish those, to get rid of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into the ritual, we're doing it, and in a sense, to be able to get rid of this stuff, you have to draw it out. You have to face it. You have to bring it out. So it gets scary in the moment. And it was terrifying and confusing and weird. And you kind of go in and out of these weird states of consciousness.
Your eyes are closed?
At times. Sometimes they're closed, sometimes they're open. But it's just like it's weird, man. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, you just go through these different waves.
Right.
And then eventually at the end of the night, like, I felt like it worked. I felt great. I felt cleansed. I felt like, you know, nothing was bothering me anymore. Weirdest thing, though, was the next day, you know, my ex-wife messaged me randomly. I haven't talked to her in probably a year.
Yeah.
And she's like, what happened last night?
Whoa.
I, like, just out of the blue. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything.
I just performed the ritual.
Yeah. And she's like, last night I felt the energy of Goatman's Bridge for the first time in like a year and a half or something. She's like, I've gotten away from it. I never felt it. She's like, but last night for a small amount of time, I felt that energy again. And then it went away. And I was like, yeah, it was my bad. Sorry. Like, I had to call it out to get rid of it. But it was wild that, like, you know, she's on the other side of the country and she's still like.
Oh, so you got rid of it for her too.
Well, I guess it affected her. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was me too. I felt it was lingering me. I mean, it was to help, you know, anybody with it. It wasn't necessarily directly towards her, but it was just, you know, like I said, I had to call it out to get rid of it.
Wow.
So she felt that energy when I called it back, which was wild.
So the energy was so penetrating that it stayed with you for years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I just felt like it was like, it just feels like there's like a weight on your back, you know,
Yeah.
like just something you can't quite like get to your 100%. You can't quite, you know, you can't quite smile as big as you normally would. Like, there's just this weird something hanging over you, you know.
Crazy. And that must have changed your opinion on witches and spells, because you were probably skeptical before that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up kind of into that world a little bit. I never grew up any kind of one religious way. My parents were very, you know, open to allow me to explore, and I did as a kid. I explored different religions. I looked into like witchcraft and you know, all kinds. I just studied basically everything. I was fascinated by it. So I was open to it, and I've encountered different people, even in my family. My family's from the Isle of Man, which is a very like a witch heavy, you know, mystical basically island that's in between England and Ireland. It's this little tiny island, but they're their own country. But they're very like, they have thatch roof cottages, and they still have active witches, and like a very Celtic background.
Yeah.
So I've kind of grown up like in that world so much.
Yeah.
So I was definitely open to it. But as anyone, you know, each to their own. I don't know, you know, if you're telling me the truth, if you're really like serious or not. But
yeah, no, it's really interesting because all these cartoons and movies you see about these crazy magical stuff, you think it's not real.
Right.
But then as you get exposed to certain people, you're like, wait, this might be all real.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is. I think it's something that's like, you know, it's not new. It's not something that's just like, oh, in the last 50 years, we just started doing it. This is stuff that goes back thousands and thousands of years. You know, even before like the witch trials of Salem, like just it goes way back.
Yeah.
You know, people having this connection. And you think before TV, before electronics, all that, we had a direct connection with the earth. We had a direct connection with the sky. And that's where like astrology and, you know, different constellations came from, because we like, that was our entertainment. We'd look up and tell stories, and, you know, we had a different connection, you know. And I think over time in like modern life, we kind of lose that a little bit. But I think everyone has abilities. I think everyone has that connection, but it's just whether or not you tap into it.
Absolutely. Where do you draw your line? For me, you know, I believe in witches and psychics and stuff, but vampires and werewolves, I need a little more evidence.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, like I feel like werewolves could exist. I think they would be terrorizing people a lot more if they were really around. Vampires, I believe in energy vampires.
Okay.
I don't necessarily always believe in like
the blood ones,
sneaking in your house and like sucking your blood kind of thing. But I do believe there are people sometimes not even knowing that they might be an energy vampire. And like I'm sure you've like encountered people in, you know, everyday life that like they're just like, man, you're like, I don't know what it is, but like,
no, for sure.
Obviously you don't say it to them, but like there's something about you, man. Like you're just draining my energy, you know. And I think there's something to that. And I think, you know, that might have been what originally inspired this like creature that like sucks your energy out.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe in those. Do you still take an item or souvenir from each place you visit?
Not every place. Like if something, very intense happens or something, I usually still do. And I have one room in my house where I keep it all. So I kind of keep it,
that must be
centered in that one room.
Haunted room right there.
Yeah, I got a poker table in there if you ever want to come over and play.
I'm good. I'm good on that, dude. Well, man, it's been fun. It sounds like you're up to a lot of shows going on.
Yeah,
so
doing a lot. So there's still so many more shows, so many more to come. And on the side of that, I'm still running my company, doing recording studio and post-production for different other projects. And creating music again, which feels good, getting back into that. So
what's sort of your end vision, end goal, where you want to take this all?
I just want to keep going, honestly. Like
you don't think about
No, I just kind of I try to focus more in the moment and just keep it going. And, I've been lucky enough my whole career, which has been over 20 years now, to be able to do what I love to do. And it's create, whether it's art, music, film. And that's just my goal. It's been my goal since I started. I didn't want to do a 9-to-5 regular job. And I've been fortunate enough and I guess hard work enough, combination of luck and both, to get to that point and keep it going. So it's just a matter of keeping it going.
Love it. Yeah, it's cool to see you at that point where you're truly doing what you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And it's scary at times, there's the starving artist feel, you never know, stuff could drop out, you never know, but it's always about evolving and keep pushing it. And,
Absolutely. Love that. Where can people find you, man?
J Wasley Film on Instagram and Facebook, and J Wasley on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Great episode as always, and I'll see you next time.